Hi, I'm Leezá Steindorf. I'm an international leadership coach, a member of the Forbes Coaches Council, and I've helped thousands of leaders and learners unlock power they didn't even know they had. And today I'd like to talk about a moment almost every young professional faces, but one no one prepares you for. That's the moment that someone tells you, you need to be more professional. It can sting, it's vague, and it can leave you wondering, so what did I do wrong? What does that even mean? Am I not enough? By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what professionalism really is, what it's not, and how to show up with clarity, confidence, and excellence without abandoning who you are. All right, so let's dig in. So when someone says, be more professional, they almost never explain what they actually mean by that, right? It's just this vague space. Does it mean speak differently or dress differently or show less personality or smile more or smile less? Like you get no instructions on that, right? So here's a secret that most people don't know. Professionalism isn't a personality type, it's actually a communication skill. And that doesn't always mean in words when we're talking about communication skill here. So it's not about being less of you, it's about being the clearest, most intentional version of you. And when you understand what's actually being asked for, you stop shrinking, you stop second guessing yourself, you can start to own the room, as they say. All right, so let me share with you a little bit of how you can do that. So when I coach leaders, I use a framework called C.O.R.E. Clarity, Ownership, Resolution, and Excellence, C.O.R.E. And every time you hear the phrase be more professional, these four principles actually reveal the message that's behind those words and how to respond without losing your confidence or without becoming inauthentic. Like C.O.R.E gives you the tools to be the most of who you are in the most professional way. All right, so I'm gonna show you how we can use C.O.R.E as a way to decode be more professional. All right, so we're gonna start off with clarity, and that is to understand actually what is it that they're asking for and be clear. A lot of people don't know exactly what they're asking for, so the onus is on you to clarify. So when someone says be more professional, what they usually mean is one of three things. I didn't understand your communication, your tone didn't match the situation, or your delivery distracted from your message. Like those are the three general buckets when somebody's talking about being more professional and not being professional. None of those mean that you're not capable, and none of those also mean that you're not leadership material. It simply means that the signal that you sent didn't match the receiver. Could be on the receiver's end, but you have no control over that. So we're going to talk about what you do have control over, and that's yourself. So professionalism equals sending a clear signal. And that can start when you get clear in yourself. So here's the reframe. It's not about changing who you are. It's about adjusting the frequency so your message lands the best way that it could possibly land, right? Okay, so clarity sounds like, what part would you like more formality on? Or can you share what wasn't clear for you? Or you could say, I want to make sure that I align. What specifically should I adjust? And see, the benefit of being clear and asking that way is you put the onus on the person who said you need to be more professional to actually explain it. What is it they're asking for? And there may be different people, different reasons depending on the person. So by staying calm, wanting to clarify, seeking clarity is going to help you understand how your receiver is perceiving you or what it is that they're needing. And then it gives you the tools to actually navigate that, right? And that is not weakness. It's actually, it shows strength, strength of character, which is actually a foundation of leadership. Okay, so that's clarity. That's the first part. The second one is ownership. And what I mean by ownership is that you take 100% responsibility for your part in any situation. You are not responsible for other people. You have no control over what they think, do, or say, but you have complete command over yourself. So ownership is knowing what you have within your control and then being intentional with that, right? So when somebody says, be more professional, it can actually trigger shame. And I'd like to define shame. Shame is the experience of feeling that something is wrong with you, like you are wrong. There's something bad about you. That's shame. It's the feeling of, oh gosh. And you don't know what to do with that because if you're bad or wrong, that's that you can't get out of that, right? And shame makes you shrink and you want to apologize for everything or you overcorrect. And shame has no place in the workplace, not in your workplace, and it also doesn't even have any space in your life, or it shouldn't. What do we do if we don't want to feel shamed? What if we do if we don't want to feel like we've done it wrong? Somebody says, so be more professional. We can first clarify, as I just said, and then you step into ownership. And that's taking that responsibility for your part and only your part. So you're going to own your beliefs, your thoughts, your actions. You're not responsible for anyone else, and they're not responsible for you. So, and when you own your being, you own your presence, you stay centered. You're more able to be curious because you're not defending anything because you know that you're fine. You can stand in that ground and you stay in your seat of power. And that has presence. That goes a far way to being professional. So instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, just let that go and just step into that ownership and say, thank you for the feedback. I want to understand so I can respond better. What exactly are you asking for? You hear the difference in those? You're not collapsing into a folded sense of there's something wrong or bad with me because they said that. You need to be more professional. You can step forward into your presence and into a leadership position of leading the clarification of what's needed here. And when you respond with that kind of ownership rather than shame, or even rather than insecurity, people take you more seriously immediately because they're like, wow, this person's really stepping in. They want to understand. And that raises the bar for them. They need to explain. All right. So now we're going to talk about resolution. Remember C-O-R-E? So now we're at the R. So I want to explain the way that I define resolution, and it can be used obviously to resolve conflict. But in most areas of work and life, I define resolution as aligning our values and our desires with our actions and our words. So there's not a discrepancy. We have this alignment. So this is where the gold is, because most of the time when people say or use the word professionalism, it's really shorthand for something else. And the speaker may not even be aware of what they're talking about, right? So you can help them clarify, as we just spoke about. But you can also know that they may be pointing at that they need more structure, or they want you to slow down, or they want you to be more specific or concise, or maybe they want less emotion and more direction, right? So you're trying to feel and understand what it is that they're asking for. And then they want you to match the tone of the current environment, right? Whether you're in a relaxed atmosphere, I know that Google has super relaxed atmospheres, and then there are other companies that are much more formal if you're in a financial planning firm, right? So none of these mean be less human, right? They mean align your delivery with the moment, with your environment, with the listener, whatever it is. So that's that resolution. It's the skill of taking vague feedback and turning it into a path that is really aligned and resonates. So what you can do is you can ask, again, clarify. Would you prefer a more structured outline next time? Or maybe should I focus on more key points and fewer details? Would you like a written follow-up to strengthen this conversation? Or you can just ask a general question. Could you outline for me what it is you're asking for? Or can you specify for me what it is you're asking for, right? So you show emotional intelligence, not defensiveness, and you create solutions and the framework for solutions instead of adding to confusion and getting in a tailspin, right? That's leadership. That's leadership maturity. And you have that long before you ever have the title of leader. You can own that and be that in the world. All right, let's talk about excellence. And so when I speak about excellence, this is the E on core, I'm not speaking about being perfect. I'm not speaking about being the absolute best at everything you do. I'm talking about defining professionalism your way, your presence, knowing that you bring your value to the table and letting that value actually shine. Okay? Because the truth is, professionalism without authenticity becomes only performance. And I know people talk about performance, we need high performance, but professionalism is when you bring yourself and your presence to what it is that you're performing or you're acting on. So, excellence is not about deleting your personality, it's not about becoming a machine and doing it all right and perfectly. It's actually about channeling your energies and your knowledge and your talent deliberately with intention and doing so confidently. So, your natural warmth, your creativity, your humor, your cultural identity, all of who you are comes into play. These are your assets, they're not your liabilities. Don't ever try and hide yourself, but bring it to the world in a way that's targeted to what's being asked for. Okay? So, excellent means you communicate with intention, you choose your tone on purpose, you bring your personality intentionally, and you actually elevate the conversation. You don't delete yourself from it, you bring yourself to it. Okay, so professionalism is not, it's not a costume. It's not something that you try on and try and look professional. It's a skill set or practice of bringing your full self to the table, however and wherever you are right now. And in a week, in a month, in a year, you're going to be at a different place. And then you bring that self to the table. And once you master that skill set, wherever you are, you can become the person who can walk into any room and be taken seriously because of who you are, not despite it. So age and experience have nothing to do with professionalism. You can be incredibly professional at any age and with any level of expertise. Okay, I hope this has been useful for you, but I'm going to give you a practice that you could try for this week, okay? So the next time that you receive vague feedback, pause. Before reacting, just take a moment and just ask one clarifying question. Can you share an example of what you'd like to see instead? Okay, and you do a number of things with that question. You show that you can take feedback, you show that you want to improve, and you're putting the onus of clarification on the other person because they're the one that said you need to be more professional. What is it that you're looking for? And then listen. Then listen to what they have to say. Don't listen for criticism, but listen for the actual ask beneath the words if they're not clear, right? Maybe they're asking you to dress differently for the particular workplace that you're in, or speak in a certain way, or to bring more materials, or to bring less materials, whatever it is, listen. And you'll be shocked at how quickly the whole vagueness and the fog just dissipates. And then you'll feel confident because now you're hearing what it is that's being asked of you, and you can move from that confusion in the fog to clarity, and you can act from that clarity. So, if this message helped you maybe breathe a little easier, or if it helped you to understand something that no one ever explained to you before, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone else who may be navigating the first part of their career. And if you want to build unshakable presence using the core principles, you'll find more resources linked here below. You deserve to show up as the clearest version of yourself, not the smaller one you think people want, but all of who you are. That's the gift. That's what you bring to the table. And that's professionalism.